Shalom, brothers and sisters. So, a quick Israel update that's really interesting that I found this morning is the first Gazans are immigrating. Yeah, you heard me right. Since Trump announced his relocation plan, 2 charter planes relocate Gaza civilians to Europe via Israel in first instance of Gazans leaving the Strip under the Trump plan with Israel's assistance. Dozens of Palestinian Arabs residing in the Strip departed the coastal enclave on Wednesday, relocating to Europe in what appears to be the first instance. The charter flights carried a total of 70 Gazans migrating from the Strip to Italy and Romania. The Gazans likely either carry European Union passports or were sponsored by relatives living in the host countries. The Israeli Defense Ministry, which is working to establish a mechanism to facilitate mass migration from the Strip, helped arrange the transportation of the 70 migrants out of the Strip and through 110 miles of Israeli territory to Ramon Airport. Now we know Jordan has agreed to take children that needed health care, and now Egypt, who's been against it all along, suddenly has agreed to the temporary evacuation of 500,000 Gazans to a city in northern Sinai. Interesting change of pace there. Maybe Trump has said they're not going to supply any more money to Egypt for their tourism. Who knows? But I think some pressure and leverage was applied in the background that wasn't spoken about. And suddenly, Egypt's willing to take 500,000. So the plan is coming into place. And again, how can you expect anybody to live in this rubble safely? Unexploded ordnances, chaos, sharp corners, nowhere safe to live out in the elements. It doesn't make sense. It only makes sense to remove them completely, clear the area, clean the area, make the area safe, and then rebuild. And all of this is going to take time. Israel then had an altercation with the UN, which is normal and par for the course these days. Israel fired back after the UN chief was outraged over the Gaza strikes. "We are outraged at you," Israel's foreign minister declared, pushing back on criticism from the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. He expressed shock and outrage over IDF bombing of Hamas in Gaza. Hours after Israeli war planes began bombing dozens of targets in Gaza, Guterres issued 2 separate statements demanding a resumption of the ceasefire in Gaza and condemning the IDF's airstrikes. But he said nothing about the killing of Christians and Alawites in Syria. No, he encouraged the giving of billions of dollars to that regime right on the heels of them slaughtering and massacring unarmed civilians in that area. Not 1 tweet, not 2 tweets, no tweets from Guterres the clown. "I am outraged by the Israeli airstrikes in Gaza," Guterres tweeted. "I strongly appeal for the ceasefire to be respected, for unimpeded humanitarian assistance to be re-established, and for the remaining hostages to be released unconditionally." The Israelis responded. Not a word about the fact that Hamas rejected 2 American proposals to extend the ceasefire and release more hostages. 2 proposals that Israel accepted. Not a word about the fact that Hamas exploits the transfer of goods to Gaza to rebuild its war machine in order to further attack Israel. Not a word about UNRWA, which under your leadership employs Hamas terrorists, and its facilities are used by Hamas to hold hostages. Indeed, we are outraged by your moral bankruptcy. Good evil and evil good, and an absolute focus on hating Israel and the Jews, and silence on the massacre and slaughter of Christians worldwide. Now, what do these 2 groups have in common? The one true God of the universe, Yahweh. The one who the enemy is standing against. You don't see the enemy preparing an elaborate campaign and worldwide thing to stand against Buddha. No, because Buddha's with him. It's one of his chiefs. You don't see that campaign against Allah. No, because Allah's with him. You don't see that campaign against Krishna. No, because Krishna's with him. They aren't gods. They're demonic forces, principalities, and powers. They stand against the one true and only God and everything that He loves. That is what they stand against. And that is what we are seeing on a daily basis. Spoiler alert, besides the fact that Jesus is coming soon to the sky near you, God wins everything in the end. And we're at the end. Watch this space. Shalom.